Welcome to the quarterfinals edition of the Legacy League's post game. I have a special treat for everyone. We got three special guests, and I'm going to let them all introduce themselves one by one, but I'm going to first go to, again, the most underrated player in Legacy League history, underappreciated, Connor, my weekly rebound brother. He's over there. Could Joey and Matt played him more of Stranger Danger? We'll get into that maybe on a different podcast. But Connor, how you doing?
I'm doing great. You're gonna get me in a lot of trouble with my boss here, but yeah, I love you giving me my flowers. I appreciate
Yeah.
it. But yeah, I'm just glad to be here. Glad to be here with the boys, break down some of this action.
Yeah. And then we got Ashton, who also has played in the league. Ashton, never saw you play, but I'm sure you were dropping dimes. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And Brendan, we got a fellow Panthers fan. Shout
Yeah,
out Dave Canales. How you doing,
yeah,
Brendan?
good man. I'm the only one that guess I'm the only one who hasn't played in this league apparently.
Yeah, Brendan, I think you dominate this league, but
Oh yeah, no
maybe
doubt.
maybe in the All-Star game if someone can't show up, we'll get you out there.
Yeah,
But yeah, so we'll just get right into the action. We had a great quarterfinal slate upon us, and it really started off with an incredible game. It came down to the wire. We had some missed free throws, some controversial calls, and some amazing clutch buckets. But I mean, I'll start with you, Ashton. What did you see in the biggest skis would have been, and how did the skis pull off that 40-39 victory?
The one thing that did big help the skis was that technical foul in the beginning because that gave them one extra free throw and they end up winning by one. But this was such an even matchup. It was hard fought and biggest skis is they kind of played more as a team. Despite the fact towards the end they kind of like started arguing with each other. You could hear it on the court, you probably could hear it on stream. But Devin, he kind of held that team together as a captain. He scored 17 points in the game. He shot 60% from the field. He kind of helped control the game. But they had a hard time stopping Jake, number 23, on would have been he was going off. But they kind of missed like that extra scoring for would have been if like Raymond scored a little bit more, or even Jason Velez if he was playing a little more and he had a couple of shots, they probably could win that game. It just came down to the end, and the two missed free throws at the end were huge.
Yeah, no, totally. Brendan, what do you think?
yeah. I would agree with Ashton there that Devin. No one really had any outstanding stats that game, but Devin did kind of gel them together with his 17 points. I would say that the difference in the game were two guys on the losing team for me, Jacob Morales and Velez as well. Usually he hits the few threes a game. He didn't last night. Morales had 22 of the 39 points, but he missed five free throws during the game. And like Ashton said, they only lost by one. So he makes one or two more of those free throws, then I understand that he had more than half their points,
Hmm.
but he missed five free throws out of 11. So
Yeah.
that's tough when it's a 1 point game like that.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta hit your big shots. And someone
Yeah.
that can't hit a big shot is Connor. And I mean, I know Connor was Connor, what you see in this game.
Oh, Greg, we're fighting after this podcast. Um, yeah, this post game show, I should say. But yeah, Jason Velez, he's a good dude, man. I've talked to Jason quite a few
Yeah.
times throughout the league, and real humble kid. And I bet you he'd be the first one to tell you that it was just an off night for him. He's the difference maker on this team. You already know what you're going to get out of Jacob. He's going to put up, high volume scoring numbers. And it really comes down to who's that secondary option. And it's been Jason for most of the season. 0 for 7 last night. It's just completely out of character for him. And he had some really like good attempts close to the basket. A couple threes that didn't fall early. I kind of saw how he changed his attack. He said, "I'm gonna go to the rim, get a couple of easy ones to fall, probably get some momentum going." And he just had, just this tough luck. A couple plays where, the ball just, it rimmed out on him right at the hoop. Some gimmies at the rim that just didn't fall down for him. And once I saw a couple of those, you can see his mentality start to change a little bit. He started to drop his head. I can tell he's getting frustrated, and that's just sports, man. Sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. And it's tough to get it when you're looking for it, and it's just not falling for you. So I feel like that was just kind of the story of his game tonight. But yeah, I mean, Devin Serrano, we talked about it a little bit. He had not only the 17 points, but there were a couple pivotal steals that he had in that game late. That kind of catapulted them to a 3-4 point lead late with like a minute left. And I really want to say would have been was smart when they were down three with about a minute left. You know, you typically would see a team to start hoisting up that three ball, try to tie up the game with one shot. Would have been was going to the rack and just continually making it back to a 1 point game and then fouling biggest skis on the other end. And it became a free throw battle at the end, ultimately coming down to Jacob Morales, their best player, probably the guy that you want at the free throw, and definitely the guy you want at the free throw line late in the game, 2 seconds left on the clock. No team has a timeout left. So he goes to the line, hits two, it's game over. And we know he's clutch. We saw him last week, hit a game winner. So it was pretty surprising. I thought worst case scenario for would have been was the game was going to overtime. I mean, I did not see Jacob going over two in that situation. So very unfortunate for would have been that he couldn't get those two to fall, or at least one to fall and force OT. But yeah, a lot of credit to Biggest Skis, man. They held it together. This game we didn't really talk about, got super heated. As a fan, you love to see it,
Yeah.
as long as it doesn't come to blows, but you love to see the competitive nature of these guys come out, and they definitely, it added some energy to the game. I'm sure, everybody that was watching was very entertained and on the edge of their seat. It was a very close game, but yeah, we had this game as like a 3.5 point spread, Greg. It was basically in play the entire game. Biggest Skis, the underdogs by a slight margin, end up pulling out that win. So all in all, great game.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a great night of legacy basketball, and it really started with that game. And it was just, I mean, it was a great finish. And yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Would Have Been. They were a great team this year. They fought all year. They were fun to watch, always gave us some great highlights. And, I hope that those guys come back because we're a huge fan of them. But we'll go on to the next game, and I'll just do this game quick. Another Chris Rosinski masterclass. As you can see, 100% from the field. Kid didn't miss a shot. We got 2 points, and Yaga pulling the victory away. So it looks like Yaga and Skis will meet next round. Can't wait for that one. We'll get to that later. But we also had another quick game on court 3 for the first night. We had an Eddie Whitman masterclass. I mean, the lights out sniper that he is, 100%. And they took down Crowd Squad 2-0. And yeah, we're gonna have team meeting on that end. And on the other end of the court, we actually had another great game, and that was Get Money Basketballers. Two teams, coming into the playoffs, looking to kind of get on the right foot and kind of gain some momentum going forward, especially because they knew they'd be probably playing the Redeem team. They were definitely the favorite team going forward. So coming into this game, we wanted to see kind of who would step up and if could Get Money bounce back from a hard loss last week, and they definitely did. 72-58. They really took it to the basketballers. Ashton, what was kind of the keys to victory in this one?
Ty Sheen and Tyron, they're like a dynamic duo. They know how to work with each other. They also had Alex Willis. He also kind of helped out with 17 points. They kind of made like a little big three there. It kind of helped them push up against the basketballers and helped them win. The last time for the basketballers, Jaden Ball played was actually against Get Money, and it was a 3 point game. They lost 58-55. So Jaden did help a lot. If they had a little more scoring on their end, it could have been a lot closer game. But the basketballers have been a mess all year. They lost their best players midway through the season, and then one of them comes back for the playoffs. It wasn't enough to push them over the edge because Get Money just has two dudes that can just score, and they're going to be a force. And they have some momentum coming into next week. We'll see what happens this week. But Get Money played a lot better than they did the final week of the season.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Get Money's definitely going in the right direction. Brendan, would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. And for me, it wasn't. I mean, Ty Sheen obviously had the most points, but for me, it was Alex Willis. Um, in his game, he's usually in the shadow of the McCrees every week, but he had 17 points and 5 rebounds. He made three big threes. And I think they were all in the first half, if I'm not mistaken. But um, yeah, he was able to give them the lead, and they kind of never looked back. I will say though, if Jaden Battle had played for the basketballers all year, I think they could have been a much higher seed than they were.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he comes in, returns to the playoffs, scores 25 points, gets 12 rebounds. If they had him all year, they might be a way higher seed, and this playoffs could have been a lot different. But they actually made it pretty interesting. I can't remember if it was in the end of the second quarter or the beginning of the third quarter, but they made it close, getting it to within 6 or 7 points, and then Get Money just started pulling away in the end of the third quarter, and that was kind of it.
Yeah, yeah, no. I mean, it's Get Money kind of has that next level and that next gear, and that's kind of what
Right.
basketballers kind of is going to have to figure out if they do end up coming back next year. But Connor, what did you see on this end?
Yeah, it was the get money, get right game is what it was. I
Yeah.
talked about it last week. Coming off their first loss of the season on their opening game as a debut team with the league, they made some incredible adjustments. They went on a huge win streak throughout the majority of the season here. And I said after coming off a loss last week, I said it was probably a recipe for disaster if you're the basketballers, because I just had a feeling that these guys were going to make adjustments. And I mean, just look at their team shooting percentage. They shot 54.5% from the field, and the lowest shooting percentage was 42% from Xavier McCray, who shot a solid 3 for 7 from the field, contributed with some assists and some good defense. So realistically, just a well-rounded performance from everyone. They leaned on their top dogs, and they got it done. And Taishin McCray, I mean, we always admire him for his offensive output. I mean, he put up 19 points, but I mean, he's one of the best defenders in the league too. He might be kind of like a guard, kind of like a combos, like shooting guard slash small forward type of guy, but I mean, he goes up there like a center when he's going for a block. He's got some unbelievable bounce, and he has great timing, great instincts on the defensive side of the court, and he really had some big time plays that shifted momentum. I mean, it started out like it was going to be a get money blowout. It was looking really really grim if you were on the basketballers, but I got to give them credit, man. Jaden Battle hung in there. He kept the guys engaged into this game, and they rallied, man. I think at halftime they cut the lead from, I think it was in the first half, it was like something like a 15, 16 point lead, and at halftime it was like a 4 or 5 point lead. So, just a really, really good effort by them to just make it close. Not put your head down, not give up on the game, and then Get Money realize, crap, like this game's close. We have to put our foot back on the gas, and they did that. And they did that in the second half. They did that with some authority. Shout out the McCrays, and like Ashton said, Alex Willis. I mean, this is what Legacy Leagues is all about. You know who's going to give you those offensive performances. Every team has their top guys, and like we talked about in the previous matchup with Jason Velez, kind of failing to reach the expectations that we set for him. You always need somebody to step up, and in this game, it was Alex Willis for Get Money, who was able to kind of fill in that role and provide that boost of scoring that they needed, which really came in handy down the stretch as they pulled out this one.
Yeah, I mean, shout out Get Money. They just all year they Get Money is the great example of a team that comes into this league. They lose their first week, and then they kind of figure out, what can we do? What can we do going forward? And they just kept pushing. They reinvented a few things, and look how far it's taken them. They're a great team. They have some great players, and they're just such a great team. And I can't wait to see what they can do next week. And that's exactly why we'll go to the matchups next week, where we do have some lines set by our own sports book. And we'll do the first game first. We got the number one seed returning. Yaga will be back against the biggest skis. We got Yaga favored by 14 and a half. So I'll start with you, Ashton. Who you got and why?
I'm taking Yaga. I know the biggest skis did just come off a huge win, but Yaga, these play as a team. Chris made a huge team there. They're dominant. They know how to win. They're going to win this game probably by 14 and a half. So I'm going to take the 14 and a half. They've blown out a bunch of teams this year. Biggest skis, they played well. They're going to probably try and make it as close as they possibly can, but I do believe Yaga is going to pull it out at the end.
Brendan, what about you?
Yeah, I'm definitely taking that Yaga 14 and a half line. They're too big. They
Yeah.
have Elijah Henry, the skis do, but David Armstrong, Eric Langston, those
Mhm.
guys, it's gonna be too much, and they don't miss either. So if Chris, sorry, has a game like he did this week, they're gonna easily get that minus 14 and a half. But yeah, no, I'm definitely taking that line. Um, I don't think it's gonna be close, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. Connor, Yaga's listening.
I know Yaga's listening. I know the biggest skis are listening too. And if they are, I hope they know that obviously I picked them last week. So, they're my dogs, and they were my underdogs last week. It's tough to pick them this week, man. Yaga's just a powerhouse, like the boys just mentioned.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem with the biggest skis is even in their previous win. I mean, would have been in biggest skis we talked about in the last post game show. They're very similar teams. They play a lot of isolation. And I think, in some instances that could bode well for you. You put the ball in the hands of your best player and you just let him go to work. But I think against Yaga, there's just too much talent all around on both ends of the court. I mean, they have great defensive players like Danny Lopez and Dave Armstrong, and then they have great leadership with Pratt and Mike, just experienced veterans in this league. And then they just have just supremely talented players like Kyle and TJ that if those guys show up, it could be a bloodbath for biggest skis if they don't lock in early on in this game, because once it gets out of hand with Yaga, it just you can just feel it, the momentum just it's almost impossible to stop. It's like a freight train. And if I'm the biggest skis, I'm just gonna, like I said, just really the second that ball is tipped off, first quarter, they got to be locked in the whole way. You can't have any down possessions. You got to really be getting back on defense. They're gonna have to put in a full force effort. But with that being said, I'm still riding with Yaga. That 14 and a half point spread is pretty big, but it's not a disrespect to the skis as much as it is, a nod of respect to how good Yaga is. So I'm gonna ride with Yaga on that line. We'll see what happens. I think it's gonna be an entertaining game. I love the energy the biggest skis have been bringing. I can tell that this means something to them. So I hope we see some fireworks out there between these two teams. I think it's gonna be a pretty good game. But at the end, Yaga for me is gonna be the team I'm riding with.
Yeah, no, I mean it's hard to argue because Yaga is just kind of that juggernaut we've seen, and they got some of the legacy league greats on their team with Mike and Pratt, players that have just won multiple times and have done it at the highest level. And same with Eric Langston, he's won them with multiple different teams. It's that Yaga team, they're a wagon. So it'll be great to see. Moving on to the next game, another good one. Redeem team get money. We got Redeem favored by 4.5. I mean, that's gonna be a fantastic battle. A lot of athleticism in this one. Ashton, who do you got and why?
Give me redeem and give me the over. I think they're gonna win by more than 4.5 points. I think they have some fuel under their fire for not playing
Mm,
this week. And I remember talking to them before the game would have started against Crown Squad and telling the Crown Squad wasn't showing up. They were devastated. They wanted to play. So I think they have some fuel coming in next week. But Get Money's still a very good team, so it's definitely gonna be a very high scoring game. Taishin and Tyron are gonna do their thing, but Eric Singleton's probably gonna go off knowing that he didn't get to play this week. Next week he has some fuel. I feel him Redeem Team and Yaga is gonna be in the championship.
yeah, I mean, it's hard to disagree with that one, Brendan.
I'm gonna say the same thing, and I'm gonna take the redeem team line minus 4.5. I think that Get Money has some good defenders. Like Connor was saying,
Mm-hmm.
how we see their offensive talent, but we kind of forget about how they have defenders. They do, but I think that the Redeem team just has too many scorers for them to stop,
Mm-hmm.
like Eric and Reggie, and then Dante. He's very underrated on the defensive end. I think he's going to be able to stop. Maybe not Taishin because, like Connor said, he has some crazy bounce, but I think Dante could stop all those other guys in the paint. Um, but other than that, I think Redeem is going to be close for sure. But I think
Mm-hmm.
Redeem's going to pull away at the end. But I
Mm-hmm.
think Reggie and Eric are just going to absolutely go off this week.
Yeah, no, it's a fair assumption. Reggie and Eric haven't been known to do that. Connor, let me hear it. Who you got?
Man, I love this Get Money Redeem Team matchup. Probably we talked about it a little bit last week as well. How we kind of anticipated these teams were kind of on a crash course for each other, and sure enough, here they are. So I'm excited to see this one. Get Money's to me they lost by 7 just 2 weeks ago, and you might look at the game and say, okay, so it looks like Redeem Team kind of handled it pretty well. Pretty solid win there. Not a lot of stress, but it was pretty down to the wire there. I think it was a couple late baskets on Redeem Team that made it look like it was a pretty solid, easy win, but it really wasn't. That was a hard fought battle. Get Money was in that game the whole time, and I think they held the lead at several points, even in the late stages. But ultimately, Redeem Team's veteran experience that was, in my opinion, what was a big reason why they were able to pull out that win in their previous matchup. But for me, dude, I think Get Money is gonna be on the upset alert here. I'm taking Get Money on them. I'll take them on the spread. All right, so I'm not ruling out the fact that Redeem Team can't win this game, especially
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of those guys on Redeem Team. We all went to the same high school together, so I know they'll probably be mad at me that I'm not riding with them on the spread. But I'll leave the open ended there that they could potentially win on the money line. But I'm gonna take get money on the spread. I think that but once like I said last about the last matchup with get money, there are adjustments that they've made. I think that it's going to be really interesting to see how they take that loss to Redeem Team, and maybe they change some of the rotations up. Greg, we talked about in that
Yeah.
specific game with Get Money and Redeem Team how Tyron McRae wasn't on the floor for the last few minutes in crunch time. I think that could have really kind of swayed the victory there for Redeem Team.
Mhm.
I think he'll be out on the floor um, in those final stages of the game, which could make a difference. So like I said, man, they get money, they get right. I think that'll be something that I'm gonna keep my eye on is once again how are they gonna change up their strategy to take down Redeem in this matchup. So I'll take get money.
Yeah, no, I mean, we got two great matchups. And if all the cards play out the way we think they might, I agree. I think I got to ride with the skis. That's my championship pick, so I'm riding with them. And I'm going Redeem Team. I think Redeem Team's too strong in this one. Get money. I'm gonna second everything Connor's saying. I would definitely take them on the get money on the spread, but I think Redeem's just gonna have too much experience, legacy experience. Reggie, Eric, even if I'm hoping Pooch comes, guys like that, they just know how to get it done in the big moment. So I gotta go with that. But it's going to be a good one going forward. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a good night. Hopefully these teams come and they're at full strength. I'd love to see Yaga with all their guys. Biggest skis, same thing. It's kind of funny how they're playing because both these teams haven't been at full strength all year. So I hope we get some teams at full strength and we'll get some good games in. But any last words from the three of you? Anything you want to shout out? Anyone you want to shout out?
From the
Oh.
future, baby.
Take that off.
Back. I gotta get my flowers. I told everybody. I hope anybody that watched the post game show last week followed me and tailored me. Easy wins, easy money, and yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Mhm.
For me, Joey Zacco, Ashton, Brendan, Connor. This has been a real one. Thanks, guys.